Welcome to Gachapod. We're not decided if it's going to be weekly or monthly or
whatever.
Whenever the fuck we can do this.
Well, we could be asked.
Good, we got some swearing out of the way. That's good. My name is Drunus the Untouchable.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. We've got Matt, the Master of Magnetism, and Dan, I couldn't think of one off the top of my head.
I'm not worthy of nicknames.
The Unworthy.
Dan the Unworthy.
That's just like a really
Dan.
bad Dungeons and Dragons character.
It is.
Thor was unworthy for a while, so you're in good company.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we're getting into the nerd shit.
We'll start Dan's like, who's for?
Is that Chris Hemsworth?
We are a periodic, I suppose, podcast about general pop culture nonsense. Each episode, one of us will be bringing a specific topic to the table that they generally have a little bit more kind of knowledge and expertise over than the others, typically.
Typically, so.
And we're going to try and do a bit of a deep dive into that thing and educate the
masses.
The masses, the moronic masses.
And me.
And Dan.
I'm your conduit. I'm the person that lives vicariously through you. I'm going to call this out because that's terrible.
No, it all stays. They need to know. We're establishing, the hierarchy of the group at this point, and so.
Yes, but I have the power to edit.
You do.
It's on my computer. I have the power to make me sound more intelligent and less dumb.
But I'm also getting over a cold, and it's kind of pollen-y today as well, so enjoy listening to my sniffs and coughs throughout.
I had a few drinks last night, and I'm feeling rough.
A few? You had about 5?
5 at home.
That's a few. That qualifies as a few.
About 8 at the pub.
Yeah, but they were pictures of Tokyos, Matt.
Yes.
It wasn't just
beautiful
a beer.
lime green.
I was going to say, describe a Tokyo for the casual listener at home.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It is like 4 or 5 different spirits, I think, with just lemonade and a bit of lime. Beautiful.
I watched the lady last night make that picture. It was 5 minutes of just her monotonously just pouring.
Like, they hate making it there.
Matt insists on the fruit being plucked from the tree. That's the problem. No, fucking throw that shit out. No, go and get it from the tree. Just more and more aggressive about
lemon stealing whore.
Anyway,
we were supposed to talk about pop culture.
Yes. So
this isn't the alcohol podcast.
No, that's going to be the next spin-off on our soon-to-be very successful network, the Alcohol Podcast, which we will record after you've had 5 pitchers of Tokyo.
We should do that.
Yeah,
we absolutely should not do that. That will be a garbage file piece of audio.
It will be used in court.
Yeah, but I turn into a right British gentleman after a few drinks.
You do like to reassure people that you're not here to cause any trouble.
Hello, good sir.
I don't know if we should maybe do a tiny bit of background on kind of who we are before we get started. So Matt and I work in a comic book shop and have both read comics for the majority of our lives at this point, really.
Since I can remember, I think when I was in the crib.
In the womb.
In the womb. They implanted a tiny comic book.
I was going to get much more visceral and horrendous about how you received your comics in the womb, but your mother's a lovely woman, so I'm not going to do it.
I'm going to show her this after this.
Why are you showing her a podcast?
I will show her the link, and then she can nod it and go, oh, cool.
Yeah, great. Just talking about inserting comic books.
Hi, Mrs. Matthew.
In order to educate
Mrs. Matthew?
I waved.
Mrs. Matthew. Oh boy.
Well, that's been edited.
And just to introduce me, I have finally been allowed behind the counter at the comic book shop that these two work at. And that's it, really. I don't know anything else about anything. Just football.
It's true. Just football.
You've seen... I think
I've seen films.
We're at a point now where the general kind of understanding of comic book characters and superheroes and stuff is just...
It's commonplace now.
It's one of those things where, I was having to hide my comics when my friends came over as a kid because I just didn't want the judgment.
Yeah.
Whereas now, who isn't going to go and see the new Spider-Man movie next week?
Yeah, that's it. Because so different when I was younger as well. I was a kid that show and tell was here's my turtles.
Oh, I will see your turtles. I had, and this is why am I talking about this on something that's going to be public. I had like the Star Trek buy a magazine a week and issue 2 comes with a free file. I thought a good idea to ingratiate myself with the rest of the class would be to bring that along to show and tell. And talk through the various different sections, the different races and species of the Star Trek universe.
Drew is married with a child.
Yeah, somehow, despite my adolescent Ferengi-based interests, I managed to coerce a woman to live with me and bear my progeny.
Is that an option on Pornhub? Ferengi?
Ferengi, yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it?
It's there somewhere.
Just someone just jacking their ears.
Okay, so Matthew, what have you got for us?
Yeah, onwards.
Why do I keep calling him Matthew?
I don't know, you never refer to him as Matthew.
No, that's true, it's because he's on the podcast. So yeah, basically we are talking about the best-selling comic book of all time. Drum roll. Essentially, can either of you, would you have guessed what it was before the subject of the podcast, Dan?
No,
it's one of those things. I think it surprises a lot of people.
I think so, because I think your mind would probably go to Superman or Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
Spider-Man.
But basically,
Youngblood.
Youngblood. Jesus Christ.
Hey?
Yeah, exactly. But way back in the 90s, Marvel published the best-selling comic of all time. It was the X-Men, which apparently sold 8 million copies, but not exactly. The numbers. Yeah, exactly. The numbers may not be exact on how many comics were actually sold to customers, because way back in the 90s, Marvel were telling retailers that this was set to be the biggest selling comic book of all time.
I've never heard that since.
Yeah, every month I'm doing the orders, honestly. Order 1 million copies. No, I'm okay. The times have changed. The actual number of comics sold to customers in the 90s for X-Men might have been about 4 million. As far as Marvel's probably concerned, though, they sold over 8 million, obviously. Yeah, we all know the X-Men.
I'm aware of the X-Men.
You're aware of the X-Men. Yeah, it's weird to see the Phoenix film come out recently, and apparently it's just box office disaster. I had last time I saw something about it.
I had no intention of seeing it.
Yeah, same. I've not bothered.
Is it out?
Exactly. Yeah, it's been out for a while.
Seriously, it's out.
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks. It's been out now.
Did not know it was out.
Yeah. It's crazy, but I think people's time with the X-Men. I think due to Marvel Studios, it's all Marvel Studios' fault essentially. They've kind of paved the way for good superhero films.
I think for that and for kind of coherent cinematic universes as well. So the X-Men, that's a 20-year-old cinematic franchise.
Yeah, you don't think about it, but
the first X-Men film was 99.
Yeah. But no, the 90s were an amazing time for comics. Well, the early 90s anyway. Todd McFarlane, who you know him from Spawn. Terrible comic, terrible artist.
How dare you, sir?
Well, his Spider-Man was released to all sorts of stupid formats, which we'll get into. Great success with stuff like crazy Dayglow covers. Ooh, fancy. Yeah. You must remember them. Do you know about Dayglow covers, Dan?
No.
Basically, Marvel loved their gimmicks in the 90s. And they were like, oh, you want this Incredible Hulk? Well, it's foiled. And it's it's raised and everything as well. Look at this. This is a collector's item. It's also got a trading card inside. It's bagged. It's ridiculous. Marvel and gimmicks came,
So, today, how much would something like that cost on eBay?
You'll find out, son.
But yeah, it soon caught on, and basically everybody went fucking gimmick crazy. So yeah, it was foil covers.
Yeah.
A small bag with Rob Liefeld's pubic hair attached to the thing.
Jesus. Sorry, Rob.
You don't care. He was making that Levi's money. He was perfectly happy to attach his pubes to the front of his work.
But the problem is, Marvel made the really gimmicky covers and stuff, but customers loved them. To begin with, they absolutely loved them. But yeah, they took full advantage essentially, and the higher ups in Marvel just they weren't happy despite Spider-Man selling a good I think it was 2 million copies. I think they weren't happy. They wanted more. So a guy called Tom DeFalco, who we love for the creation of the mutant Dazzler.
Oh yes.
He's the best. But yeah, Tom DeFalco, he put forth the idea that it was time to expand on the X-Men line. Bob Harris, Marvel's editor at the time, thought that was a ridiculous idea. What the hell? X-Men comics hadn't been doing very well for a while now. They were publishing around 4 X books, so did they need another, I mean, Marvel nowadays.
Did they need 4?
Yeah, exactly.
Is the argument you could make. Yeah.
So, like, Harris and the legendary X-Men writer Chris Claremont, who I love, he's one of my favourite writers, although he's very much of his time.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done anything good in the past 15 years.
That was the thing that kept coming back to me when I was going back and reading some of the older Claremont stuff, including the, like X-Men #1 was, it's not that it's bad writing, it's just you are absolutely reading an early 90s
Oh yeah,
comic.
the exposition's so heavy.
Yeah, the exposition, the monologuing, the soliloquizing, it's just like, it's so OTT.
Yes.
You just couldn't get away with it now.
No, you really couldn't. They got together and they decided to go for a title which was simply called The X-Men. They were to merge the original 1960s lineup, taking characters from the pages of the X Factor comic and Uncanny X-Men at the same time, to set up 2 brand new teams, the Blue Team and the Gold. It was a promising idea, to be honest, to revitalise the X-Men, and Claremont seemed like the perfect writer to do it to begin with. And he's the guy that's responsible for the Phoenix saga, like just everything from the 80s which was good from the X-Men. You can thank Claremont for.
Yeah, everything they've bastardised in the past few films,
Yes.
more or less, is lifted from Claremont's storylines.
Definitely. Yeah, but he did seem like the perfect writer to do it. Unfortunately, though, there was a shake-up back in the Marvel offices as well.
The bullpen, thank you.
Yes.
The bullpen.
Oh, the bullpen, sorry, yes, of course. New blood was appearing, and Louise Simonson, who had made waves with her work on several titles, such as The New Mutants, which was a really, really great 80s like comic as well. I'm just going to put them out. You'll read them at some point, Dan.
Like a 13-year-old Scottish girl who could turn into a wolf in it.
Wolfsbane.
That sounds sexy.
Don't do that noise.
She ended up quitting after 10 years of working at the company, and there was more of that coming on the way as well. Despite the New Mutants' success and all this new wave of just all the new faces appearing, there was a lot of tension, I think, back at the bullpen. And Claremont,
Why did they call it the bullpen? What was the relevance of that? Were they trying to make it sound more macho than it was?
It's what Stan always referred to it as in the letters section, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I'm sure there's more to it than that, off the top of my head. I don't fucking know. So you caught me out there.
Fair enough.
Yes. But basically, like New Mutants, if you look at it back in the 80s and then what it looked like in the 90s, Jesus Christ, you wouldn't think it was the same thing. There's a newcomer like Rob Liefeld came onto the scene. Like, he's really cool, really hip guy. Loves his pouches, can't draw feet.
He's like, here, have some Deadpool.
Yeah, here, have some Deadpool.
So were all his frames just legs, just cut off at the legs?
Yeah,
Either that,
almost,
or if you did draw feet, they looked like they had dog's feet.
Yes.
It's seriously, if you go and there's been countless articles about Liefeld's artwork. Like one of the most famous images being that profile shot of Captain America where he's got the bustiest boobs that you've
I
ever
have seen that.
Yeah.
I have seen that.
But there's a lot of other ones as well where there's just like characters jumping in midair and they look like they're on the cover of a fucking Animorphs book because they're just like halfway to turning into a Labrador.
Yeah, Rob came into the title because he was campaigning for the writer to take over as well, because this young kid's I don't like these books anymore, and then he got pally with the editors and stuff. And Claremont, who loved his job writing for the X-Men, claimed that Louise was fucked out of a job, essentially, by Rob Liefeld.
Like me, I fucked my way into this job.
You did. Harris used the relaunch of the X-Men as an opportunity to get rid of Chris Claremont.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, to be fair, he was one of the most important X-Men writers of all time, and he created Phoenix and Rogue as well, and he developed Wolverine to become who they are today. Wolverine would not be who he is without Claremont.
He's a standout character in the films.
Yeah,
at least.
Yes,
For saying he wasn't part of the original team, he didn't come along till
Giant Size,
which is what, end of the 60s. Beginning of 69, something like that.
It might have been.
Basically, he didn't join the team.
You just know we're talking about this, and somebody's on the receiving end going, shaking their head.
I'm just going to do it more. Yeah. Because I don't have every fucking date pull out of my arse. No, it's fine.
I mean, going into the film of Wolverine, it's quite clear that Bryan Singer absolutely fancied the fuck out of. Who's the fuck that plays him? I can't remember his name. The Australian chapper.
Yeah, Broadway star Hugh Jackman.
That's the one. Yeah, he likes singing on his Instagram.
How did you forget the name of our Lord and Saviour?
I don't know. Maybe this isn't the podcast for me.
Essentially, he wasn't wanted anymore by editorial at all. There are many changes throughout Uncanny X-Men. Mutants have left the team. Professor X, the leader, he was nowhere to be found. And Magneto as well. He disappeared. He started off somewhere. Bob Harris was really displeased with those recent choices. He decided to fix the X-Men. How many times have we had that now, as well, to be honest? How many times have they tried
Split
to
them
fix
up,
it?
put them together, try different... No.
Shake it up as well.
Glasses off.
Yeah. But to be fair, like retailers, like they're the most opinionated, like especially the guys that run the businesses and sell the comics.
So
they
you
thought
two
there was they thought like Claremont's comics that there were too many dangling plot lines. I think it was probably because, despite being one of the best like writers, he'd been doing it for so long, and at a point, wrap it up. Robert Kirkman.
The Walking Dead will live forever.
It will. Jesus.
It's like any soap opera, though, isn't it? I mean, you look at fucking EastEnders or Hollyoaks or something. It's how do you continually? I mean, I presume they change writing teams on a regular basis, and obviously cast members filter in and out, and you can't. It's not the same as a comic book format where Cyclops has been the same age, barring when he was brought back through time. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
But yeah, I think to be one guy on a book for that amount of time.
17 years it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. To try and keep a bunch of fresh ideas in place and to try and have it all kind of be cohesive and stuff is. I couldn't do it.
No. But it's that Rob. It's like cursed Rob Liefeld.
It's that Rob.
Because basically the decision to remove Claremont from the X-Men comics was due to Rob and Bob just going for a nice little dinner, and they brainstormed some new ideas for the mutants. The decision was made
what
for
was
Jim
the
Lee.
dinner?
I don't know what the dinner was.
Where did they go?
Where did they go?
I feel like that's quite important.
Again,
because-
somebody knows. On the receiving end.
I feel that's legitimately an important question.
This is the joy of podcasting. Is you set up a Twitter for your podcast and just let
You just get
let
views.
the DMs of vitriol.
Everyone's
pour
going to
in.
hate me
Yeah.
because I ain't got a fucking clue what I'm talking about.
It's fine when we do the Tottenham Hotspur episode or whatever it is that we that you end up bringing to the table in a few weeks.
I'm just going to make you watch really bad football documentaries.
Nah, veto.
It's meant to be a surprise.
Yeah, the decision was made for Jim Lee. What had Jim Lee been working on? I think he'd been joining the X-Men whilst Claremont was on.
Yeah, he'd been doing that. Before that, he'd done a Punisher War Journal.
Yeah, that was it. Punisher War Journal.
I think he start doing Alpha Flight.
Yes, a bit of Alpha Flight as well. But the decision was made for Jim Lee to actually plot the new X-Men stories with Claremont writing the dialogue, a guy that had been doing it for 17 years. Essentially, we're like, no, you're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, you look at that first page of X-Men 1 and you've got Chris Claremont's name, then Jim Lee's name, and underneath it's writer, co-plotters, and then artist. But Jim Lee is... Do you know who Jim Lee is? You know the name?
No.
He's kind of one of the modern gods of comics, really. Like whether you like him or not, you can't deny his influences and importance and everything else. So yeah, he basically has a very, very distinctive style. It's very it's quite manga influenced in a lot of places.
To a degree, I guess.
I just think with the sharp angles and stuff.
Yeah.
He said his work on, I think it was War Journal or something. I can't remember what he said in the article. But he was influenced by Frank Miller manga and some other bits and bobs.
Okay.
And I can see it certainly in his earlier work.
But yeah, he was handpicked for the new X-Men comic. Jim Lee was because he was doing Uncanny as we mentioned before, and he took over art duties from Mark Silvestri.
What a leap!
Yeah, what a leap. Also, during his stint on Uncanny as well, he had helped co-create one of the blandest mutants to date, Gambit. Ugh.
But he's Cajun.
Yeah, something else about his personality.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah,
He's a lech. He had cool sunglasses in the comic in the
he had that weird fucking headband thing, and he was just constantly trying to bang Rogue.
He was, yeah.
Despite the fact that any contact with the skin would...
But he
was a maverick. That's what it was.
It bordered on
you're thinking of the X-Men, the X-Men Maverick.
Oh god, of course, it's fucking the X-Men called Maverick.
I created... So when I was probably 12 or 13, I was just drawing comics and copying out comic books no end. And I quite liked a lot of X-Men stuff. And I created my own character because I didn't realise Maverick was a thing, and I called him Maverick, and his power was he could fire lasers from his elbows and knees.
Elbows and knees?
I mean...
Now, just take your elbow for a moment and try and aim it accurately at something. Just what the fuck was I thinking?
That's a character in My Hero.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think it's like cello or something, but it's actually sellotape that comes out of his elbows.
So maybe I was onto something then.
Exactly.
Right, I'm going up to the attic, I'm going to resurrect that boy.
Understandably with this new setup, Claremont wasn't happy, and why would you be? Lee was renowned for being late with his artwork a lot of the time. I think he just drew too many lines.
Yeah, there's an artist, I can't remember who it is, but it points out that if you want to age a character, you put a line on their face, and a line equals a year of this character's age. So like, if you're trying to draw like a beautiful woman, it's the outline of the face, the slightest outline for her nose and eyes and everything else. You look at the first full headshot of Magneto in that X-Men issue 1. Fucking hell, it looks like he went through a pack of pencils, just like scribbling line after line after line. And if it's a year equals like a year, and a line equals a year in his, in age, then the man is centuries old.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
But people love it. It's amazing.
They do love it. They are wrong.
We take firm stances here at Gachapod.
We do. As we all know, Claremont being relegated to just like writing dialogue didn't feel right, and his style was kind of reminiscent of the old 60s style as well. Like as we were saying earlier, the exposition, like, here's Wolverine, he's in a sewer, he has adamantium bones and a healing factor. Like, we know Chris, he's there. We're seeing it with our eyes.
Show don't tell.
Yeah, exactly. Chris,
how do you show his skeleton?
Did you just say Skellington?
Yeah, I've never been able to say it properly. Never been able to say it properly.
Skellington. We've got just some stuff to show you about Wolverine Skellington.
Can't wait.
You remember Wolverine Civil War?
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah. He has a mutant healing factor.
Yeah.
But this time he survived a nuclear bomb.
All right. Okay.
And all that remained was his skeleton.
Didn't he in the Wolverine as well?
I've blotted that from.
He did, but I think that was because that was another comic as well, which would allow, because Brian K. Vaughan wrote that, and he's one of my favourites.
I've heard of him.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Matt's told me about him.
Yeah, many times. But yeah, Chris complained to Harris over heated exchanges on a fax machine.
How the fuck do you stay heated when it takes like 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
When this thing finishes fucking printing, I am gonna pop off.
And didn't it always print from the bottom first? So you get the end of what he's saying, and then the next line is the next.
You fuck.
Yeah, so like first the balls print out, then it's the shaft.
Yeah.
And finally the crown of the head with a little arrow saying you. You don't know whether to be angry or not until you get to the very end of the page.
No.
That's ridiculous. Having a fucking argument via fax.
Yeah, it's crazy. But this is it, like, Bob Harris didn't like any of Claremont's ideas, such as like killing off Wolverine and trying to change Magneto, developing him into a hero, like changing him up a little bit. And yeah, they were extreme changes, but they were implemented to just evolve the mutants into the next phase, which comics
It was a 30-year-old book at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Like, comics are about this nowadays. Comics don't evolve. They always return back to the status quo as well. Unless it's independent, unless you're Robert Kirkman.
Yeah, unless you own the characters and you can murder them if you want to.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there's I don't know if you ever saw it, but there was that interview that Kevin Smith did with Stan Lee, and it was like a 2-hour interview. They brought the whole thing out on DVD, and there's one moment where Stan Lee's like, that was the thing about Marvel Comics. When a character dies, they stay dead. It's like, you've not read anything that you've not written, have you?
Oh, Stan. Yeah, rest in peace.
I love you, Stan, you thief.
Yeah, you thief. There'll be a lot of that in this podcast as well.
What, talking about thievery?
Yes, definitely. But in some ways as well, you can see how the repeat return of the status quo has really impacted the sales of X-Men comics as well. We get tired. We get really tired when it's like brand new X-Men. I mean, I think the reason why I'm doing that at this time as well, because like the X-Men have a new comic coming out soon as well. Not to get ahead of ourselves.
I still fall for it. I still get excited.
I mean, I am excited for it.
And then I read it and I go, oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you fool!
This again.
No, it happened when they relaunched it as all new. You know, it was all new.
Bendis.
No, who was writing the one where they went back in time and grabbed the original X-Men and
all new X-Men.
Yeah,
because that was running alongside Uncanny.
That's right. Yeah. And when that relaunched, because that was what 5-6 years ago now.
I think it's longer, but yeah.
Might be longer, but anyway, like when that, I was like, oh fucking, this is great to start with, and then
first 6 issues.
Yeah.
And
then the fatigue sets in.
And Bendis was like, what do I do with these characters?
I can't write anyone that doesn't sound like me.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there was a fat bald man who was their best friend. He literally did that in Ultimate Spider-Man.
Okay.
Peter Parker's best friend is a guy called Kong, who is a tubby bald dude who just looks and sounds like Bendis.
Yeah, why not?
The ultimatum was delivered to Tom DeFalco by Claremont, and the decision was made. Claremont was to write the first 3 issues of the X-Men as his severance pay.
And then get fucked.
Yeah, and that was it. That was literally it. Nobody had worked on a single title as long as Claremont did in any of Marvel's comics. It's insane. Like 17 years. Obviously Stan Lee wrote a bit, and he was like, "I'm going to go on a plane and promote Marvel and give no prizes to everyone."
But yeah, but even then, Stan's method of writing was like, I don't know, draw the fucking pictures and then I'll put some speech balloons in. Excelsior.
I've seen interviews with like Harris as well, where he once claimed he would have had a nervous breakdown over the concept of Claremont leaving. Like, that's a complete 180 as well, that is. It turns out that in the end, he was fine with Jim Lee's take. John Byrne, known for his run on the Fantastic Four, took over for 2 issues after Claremont, but it also resulted in his departure as well. So, all these great writers and artists
just going,
nah,
nope.
Yeah, we don't want you. But yeah, to Marvel, it didn't mean much like Claremont's departure. As Jim Lee, like Rob Liefeld, the New Kids on the Block, they were killing it for them. And Todd McFarlane.
I mean, this is, you have to remember, like, the climate at the time. Comics hype is real.
Yeah,
like it's
biggest point ever.
It was as big as comics ever got, and probably ever will get.
Yes, yeah.
Like, it was huge.
And we'll get into like how many units were sold and like, and
the halcyon days of comics.
Well, basically why like this happened we'll get into. They had survived without artists that had made them as well, and with the news of just how many copies X-Men had sold, they were under the belief that this was the biggest success ever, with only more success to come their way. The fools. So yeah, X-Men issue 1 dropped in comic stores, direct to market from Diamond Comics Distribution. They are the go-to guys for distribution across the world. In August 1991, it turned up. It turned up with 4 different covers, so this is how they get you.
The gatefold.
Yeah, and they were released. I didn't realise at first, looking back, because I thought it was all at once, like they do nowadays.
No, they staggered it, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a duration of 4 weeks. It was for it. These were like all like interfolding like covers as well, which could be combined to reveal reveal a beautiful image. Say beautiful image.
Like downloading a JPEG of a nudie woman on a modem back in like 1997, where you'd have to.
It's a wait.
Yeah.
I'm with you. A bit like a fax.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah, but it was the separate covers for 4 weeks, and then after that it was like the deluxe version, which had
was the
like,
fold-out cover.
That was the gatefold cover with glossy pages under higher cover price. But yeah, despite being double the standard cost of the previous versions, it was the bestseller. According to Guinness Book World Records, 8.1 million copies were distributed to newsstands and comic book stores. They were all the rage then, as people were under the firm belief, idiots, that the issue 1s would be investments for the future. Didn't help matters that the first appearance of Batman, Detective Comics 27, had sold for $55,000 in 1990. So they were like, oh my god, this has happened. So like, I'm going to rush to my comic book store. My son's going to college,
And it's never really gone away either.
No.
Like, despite the fact that we've had 25 plus years now of proof that almost no comic ever truly appreciates in value to any degree. There's a handful. There's like Walking Dead 1.
Saga is creeping up now.
Yeah, but nowhere near. We're never going to have another fucking, Amazing Fantasy 15 or an Action.
It's going to buy you a takeaway rather than a house.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, like a Walking Dead 1 in mint condition will get you. I think you can. I think it's a few grand now.
Okay. Right.
But still, that's probably in terms of contemporary comics, like the highest one's.
I think Ultimate Spider-Man goes for a lot nowadays as well, which I had.
Did you really?
Sure, I got Spider-Man. But yeah, it was the New York Times did the article for that, and obviously everybody was like, "Oh my god, this is serious business." All the big newspapers are reporting on this. This pushed interest in the investment idea even further. I don't know if you're aware of like how comics are ordered now. But
I'm about to be.
But yeah, retailers they order plenty of copies of the first issue because we're under the firm belief that people will flock to the stores, and if they don't, it'll sell at some point in the future.
Keep
Maybe.
Them on the shelf,
I mean, X Factor and Spider-Man sold stupidly well, so surely like their number 1 best-selling title already, Uncanny, would do gangbusters.
Fly out.
Yeah, it would just fly out exactly. But looking at it now, like there was no denying that the sales were a huge success, but the sheer volume of copies ordered negatively impacted some businesses. It's really interesting as well, this is, because not many people know about this. It was to the point where some stores reportedly had to close due to purchasing too many copies and the bubble bursting.
Fucking hell.
I mean, I don't know who was running these businesses, though, to be honest. There were just piles of X-Men around them. We fucked up. That was the problem as well. As I said, like the gatefold cover sold the most. Like, that sold the most. So obviously because of that, all the other four covers, nobody wanted them. Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
But there, the customers knew they were going to make a great investment with the new issue 1. This was almost like a start of a new era, height of mutant madness. Parents could surely, as I said, send their kids to college with a few copies. We'll buy loads.
Plus,
we'll send them.
It's the same fucking story on the inside. So, what does it matter about the cover?
Yeah. Well,
My naive brain here.
No, man, variant covers are still a thing now.
Yes, they are.
Less so, but you will still have some hardcore guys who come in and they specifically want their variant cover. Some guys will only go for particular artists, but there are some people who will come in and they'll be like, oh, there's like a £50 price tag on that comic, I'll have it.
I'll buy it. Yeah.
Just because it's got a £50 price tag on it.
I get it. If you're collecting something like that makes sense. But like, surely, if it's so common, it doesn't make it limited, and it just, if anything, it just makes it expensive to produce.
Yes, but this could be said of a lot of collectibles.
Of course.
This is true of
everything in this shop.
Yes. Yeah.
The casual collector who doesn't really understand what they're doing, but just wants to take a punt on something in the hope that it's eventually going to make them a small fortune. And if not, oh well, I've just got a house full of shit now.
So, to anyone listening, we're 35 minutes in, and that's the first dig at pop vinyls. I was waiting.
Honestly,
that's not a dig at pop vinyl so much as pop vinyl collectors.
say that. But that was it. Like, it doesn't work that way. Investment. Like, if your best buds bought some, and then his best buds bought some as well, why is your copy going to be valuable?
Yeah.
And we get that a lot from like random people who demand to know a price for one of their comics. I mean, my poor dad, like, he's the best. He went to a car boot sale and he was like, I've got the wedding of Dr. Octopus and Aunt May, and I was like, oh, pretty cool. And it was just the UK reprint bless, and I was just like, there we go.
There was a crackhead came into the shop a few months ago and he said, oh, I've got some, can you give me a price on it, man? I'm like, well, I can tell you roughly whether it's worth anything. And he whips out a copy of Action Comics #1.
Nice. I remember this.
In a poly bag, which immediately sort of raised suspicion, being as plastic didn't exist in the 1930s. So, sure enough, it had the words Loot Crate printed on the back of it. I think he might have been duped by a man in the pub. Yeah, basically. He stormed out not too happy with the fact that ultimately it was probably only worth about 50p.
And he can't buy crack.
And he can't buy, 50p's worth of crack, but I don't know how much that gets you in.
We'll find out, yes. We'll research into
Let's wait for him to come back and ask him.
Next week's episode.
You got offered drugs last night, so you might have to ask your mate.
I did. Yeah,
he didn't take any, by the way.
I did not take any.
For his mum.
I'm straight edge, not really.
But yeah, the nature of collecting, it's condensed a bit, but it still exists. You will always get those people who want those things.
Was the comic actually any good though? Dan's going to look at it for the first time ever.
Oh,
I know. Whoa.
There's nothing more exciting than an audio unboxing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
I'll try and describe every movement as vividly as possible.
But I mean, it depends on the reader, essentially. I think the content was solid enough for a first issue back then.
Yeah.
But looking at it now, I mean, the plot was there. Introduces Magneto as the Master of Magnetism on a full splash page, 2 pages in as well.
Master of Magnet.
Yeah, Master of Magnet. Apparently the days of him caring for mutants is long gone, but as we know, there's more to the story than that. So, where is my copy? There it is. Oh, here we go. It says, please do not bend. Don't bend it. Do you want to know how much this cost me?
No, let me guess.
Go on then.
Let me guess. No, I want to look at it first. So I'm going to do a full Antiques Roadshow
Price is Right type thing.
Let me have a look. Let me hold it. So I'll take it out of this, yeah?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm kidding, it's okay.
It's in a little plastic bag that didn't exist in the 1930s.
Well, this is from 1991, so it's fine.
He's nodding.
I'm nodding. Yeah, I'm nodding. Right. Okay. So this is. So on the front cover you've got
Go on.
the bloke with the shiny eyes.
There it is. Brilliant.
He's a bit of a pansy in the film, isn't he? And then Wolverine looking. There's a lot of lines on Wolverine.
There will be plenty of lines on everybody.
Yeah, it's
Jim Lee got paid by the line, I think. That was.
Alright, okay.
Now, yeah, your first indication of quality is that there's an advert for the Bill and Ted video game on the inside cover.
Oh, Matt, there's a corner there.
Oh my days, I'm taking that back to the guy, the seller. This cost me £2.75.
For the record, Oh yeah, my guess is £2.75.
That's that game fun.
You didn't even say it, so I was just, what, I was going to be like...
I was going to read it first and then have a
You're
look.
going to read the whole thing.
Oh look, there's Magneto.
Look at him.
That is a haircut, isn't
He's
it?
a buff boy.
That is a... Yeah, he is, isn't it?
Do you know how old he's supposed to be there?
112?
I think in the comics continuity, he's sort of late 50s-ish.
Yeah, but they use those stupid shenanigans where it's like, oh, he got de-aged.
He did get de-aged.
Yeah.
So is the paper supposed to be like cigarette? You know, like
Yeah, they
someone's
printed
worn
on
that
a
smokes
different
all the
quality
time.
paper back then.
Yes.
I'm making,
sorry, mate, I didn't
I'm making so many people angry right now.
I didn't get you the gatefold cover, so you've not got premium pages.
Yeah, I've not got the glossy that you can wipe down after
Yeah.
you've used it.
Ugh.
Jesus.
Ugh.
So yeah, he's having a good thumb through now, looking
Yeah.
at the various text boxes, and are you
Yeah.
recognising many people there?
Oh
or-
yeah, that's Storm. That's maybe Angel, Archangel or something.
You got it,
That's
Archangel.
Beast.
Yeah.
Did you watch the cartoon as a kid? The
Yeah,
Fox
I
animated
watched it as an
series?
adult as well.
I think that was the introduction for a lot of people, wasn't it? Or a lot of people our age.
You can
anyway.
tell
Oh, yeah.
that cartoon was based off this comic book.
Yes,
Just
yeah.
by the
I mean, I
colours
don't know
and-
if Matt's going to get into that at any point, but yeah, Jim Lee's kind of redesigned.
He shaped
for the-
it.
Yeah, they lifted a lot of that for the animated.
I was about to say what Silver Surfer doing there, but that's
It's Bobby Drake, young man.
Bobby Drake. Yeah. Fucking hell! Look at Charles's head.
You know what I mean? You don't be surprised if somebody was like, did Wolverine do something to him?
Yeah, he
You-
does look like he's been gone at
Yeah.
with some blades.
You know
doesn't he?
what his head reminds me of? Dusty Rhodes.
Yes.
Dusty
Yes.
Rhodes
Oh, with
forehead.
that, yeah,
Yeah, it's just
after years
sliced.
of razor blade.
Yeah.
Grammatical.
Fucking me.
To me, my X-Men.
Now, in this bit, Rogue's getting chased by like what look like kind of phallic. They just look like dildos, to be quite honest.
Yeah, no, that's it. You got it.
Yeah.
And she looks incredibly relaxed about it.
Yeah,
Which
they.
is
Yeah.
interesting.
I think she looks kind of constipated, to be honest. Do you know
Okay.
what's happening though?
No.
Well then, what is why I've
Shall
got
we
this
get into it?
I
Yeah.
feel like because
Because this has got to be fascinating to the listeners listening to three men read a comic book.
and one of them that
It sets the scene. I think
Read along with Gachapod.
Oh wait, don't worry.
yeah,
I'll
but for
see.
the best-selling comic of all time, you know.
We are doing a podcast on it, so it's good that he's actually holding it in his hands and having a look at
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
gentlemen. Everything's picked up now because Gambit's turned up
Oh, Jesus.
and he's kissed Rogue.
Yeah.
No, Jean Grey?
Without consent.
Grey, yeah.
it's Jean Grey without
Okay.
consent.
Without consent.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, some non-consensual
No
touching
wonder they
going
hired
on in
Brian Singer.
issue 1 of X-Men.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Carry on, Matt. I'll
That's
thumb
it,
through it.
Yeah, it's full Claremont. This comic is as well to a degree when it's like basically a recent incident with some mutant terrorists has gotten the president and Nick Fury involved. Because you'll always see
Nick.
it's one of those things. Nick Fury in like an office or something.
Is
with
he
a big
white
fat
in this
cigar,
one? Yeah.
talking to the president.
There's quite a lot of cigar smoking in this issue of X-Men.
You know why they got rid of it though, don't you? He was the Joker's aider. I think his dad passed away, like from cancer or something.
Oh, so now Wolverine's not allowed to smoke anymore.
Yeah, the thing stopped. You know, that's why you didn't see cigarettes or cigars. Like,
Because canonically, he was always explaining with his sense of smell was so acute, he needed the cigars in order to mute it enough that he wasn't just constantly being overwhelmed by like BO and people's ass cracks and.
How did they explain that in the comic? She's like, he's sick of smelling people's ass.
Well, no, not specifically,
I
but
think I
like,
might just start taking cigars to comic conventions.
just light it up. Just as soon as some big sweaty. Yeah.
Excuse me, you can't like that here. It's for the smells.
Do you want a bit, mate?
But yeah, basically, Dan was looking at the X-Men who are breaching the security defences of the X-Mansion. It's one of those stupid
their house?
stupid tests. Yeah, in their inmates
Oh, right,
mansion
okay.
on Greymalkin Lane.
That's fancy.
This is it, like you'll find like it's got all the
That's,
typical traits of an X-Men comic. Wolverine's in a sewer. Why is he always in a sewer? Surely he smells of shit. Like,
It's like the Bog of Eternal Stench from Labyrinth. There's no getting it off. There's just this 5'2" hairy goblin who smells like
exactly.
feces.
as you'll see, Gambit throws his weight around a lot. He always does that, like, oh, mon cher, mon frère, oh yes, I've got the cards, I throw the playing cards. I've got the crap costume with the whole horrible get-up.
What do we
He's got
Stupid
that
ass
sweet
hair.
duster though.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll kill a pat down.
See, as somebody with long hair, that headband is quite handy. Not gonna lie.
I mean, I guess. But, you know.
There should be more to the character than an
Yeah.
accent and a headband.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
And as you see, Cyclops gets into a heated exchange with Wolverine. That never happens.
No, it never happens in the next one. Those two get along famously.
Yeah.
Like if you flick through, like if you turn the pages as well, Dan, essentially like it has all the 90s tropes which we're mentioning right now. Claremont's on full form because there is a moment Wolverine has burst out and he's got his claws out. He's got a robot on him and he almost gets Charles Xavier. So what does Cyclops do? He reminds Wolverine about his entire like mutant factor and like his healing factor, his mutant ability and stuff.
I mean, the argument can be made that this is somebody's first X-Men comic, and so...
I mean, I guess, but as you see it on the page, like, careful, you almost chopped his head off. Best way to kind of like settle this dispute like the government has had with Magneto on the new Asteroid M, I say new, on Asteroid M, President enlists the help of Fury. Fury's like, I'll use the X-Men for this because a bunch of terrorists have stolen, as I've heard call, some like shield carriers.
Yeah.
And now they're like...
didn't they hijack them from Russian airspace?
Yes, that was it. And I think and also Asteroid M was positioned above Russia as well. So they were shaking their boots.
It's a Cold War.
Yeah, whoa.
I do like how Rogue's bosoms are like in your face and that.
You'll find this with Jim Lee. Now
he likes tits.
Yeah, there's a great panel where Storm's got what's effectively quite a loose black top on, and yet you can still see the perfect outline of her knockers.
Oh, I think that was just under Rogue's knockers. That one.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
No, I noticed them, don't you worry.
They will call the episode Rogue's Knockers.
Essentially, the best way to approach Magneto and Asteroid M to kind of, settle things down, let's alleviate this, is to split the X-Men into two separate teams, as we mentioned earlier, the blue and gold teams, which, had nothing to do with the fact that they wanted to run X-Men and Uncanny X-Men at the
so
same
you basically
time.
had the blue team, it was the X-Men book.
Yeah.
Gold team was the Uncanny book, but obviously they just fucking cropped up in each other's books all the time.
So it's like Raw now.
Yeah, so Raw and SmackDown, and there was wild cards and whatever other nonsense is going on in that at the moment.
There's a bunch of new faces that were introduced in this comic as well, like Fabian Cortez.
Yeah.
You'll see him because he's got he bumps into Magneto after a fight with some fugitives and some space guys, and Magneto walks down in some nice robes.
The man's clearly proud of his abs.
Really is.
He's wearing skin tight white leotard trousers and then a white silk kimono, I'm guessing, but it's open so you can see all them crunches that he's. I mean, that gym membership, you've got to make it worth the while.
That's true. That is very true.
But he can just use metal. He don't need to go to the gym, does there?
Yeah.
Just go in a building and just be like, ooh, in the fucking girders.
That's true.
Well, that explains that.
Yeah.
Cortez, to describe Cortez, basically he has a word with Magneto.
Oh, that is
Magneto, as we were saying, was kind of changed into a hero for a while, but then Cortez is remember Transformers 3 when Spike?
You're asking the wrong man. I suffer from what's known as Transformers face blindness.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm not talking about the Transformers themselves, sorry. But, basically, the new woman that was in Transformers 3 turned to Megatron, and then she was like, oh, but baby, you should...
Oh, she calls him a bitch,
calls Megatron a bitch, and then Megatron's like, you're right.
You're right, I'll stop being a robot hobo.
And then, takes up arms and, becomes, the Decepticon leader again.
Yeah.
And this is what Cortez does to Magneto.
Okay.
A brand new face. And he goes, well, maybe you should start hating those scum, what do they call them?
Flat scans.
Flat scans. He knew. Amazing. I love that you remembered that.
Because it's a fucking hilarious thing to call, just non-mutants.
Yeah, flat scans.
It just doesn't... Why?
I think I might start calling people that.
Yeah.
Anybody that offends me, flat scan.
Goddamn flat scans.
But Cortez, essentially, Dan, he will be, the leader of the alt-right. The alt-right of mutants, I'd say.
Okay.
And
we're going to lose some listeners there.
Make Asteroid M great again.
Yeah.
Imagine. But yeah, the extremist, Homo sapien hating bunch of jerks. And Cortez is we need to teach them flat scans a lesson.
So Magneto's like, okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is it. So Magneto prepares a defence against the Soviets in the US, who are becoming worried over the position over Russia. And to kick it off, Magneto lifts up a Russian submarine from the depths of an ocean. He had previously sunk the vessel 10 years ago. He actually sunk the vessel 10 years ago in the comic.
That was it.
And here's Claremont going,
yes, I
remember this?
Not that.
And that was Uncanny X-Men 150, I think. And now
Time is a flat circle.
Yes. And he's about to use the entire arsenal left on the sub.
Yes, the sub has nuclear arms in it, and he's basically raising the sub to strip it of its nuclear arms.
Yes.
To use as a deterrent against anyone who might threaten.
That makes sense.
As you'll see as well, like he goes into the sub and he's kind of horrified by all the skeletons in there. And, basically, he's like, "Oh no, I did this."
That was quite dark, wasn't it? He's basically standing amongst all these skeletons.
Oh yeah, shit.
And kind of going, "Oh shit! Some of them died right away. Some of them just suffocated."
Yeah. And he's like, "I forgot about this."
But still,
Yeah.
let's carry on with this thing the dude I just met told me that we need to do.
Exactly. Before Magneto can do anything with his missiles, he's confronted by Rogue, Wolverine, and Psylocke. And look at that. Look at that panel you're looking at right now.
Oh yeah.
That position of Psylocke kicking Magneto in the face.
Some phenomenal crotch shots from Psylocke.
She's going to get frustrated.
In this entire run, actually. All of Jim Lee's stuff, anytime Psylocke's on in frame, in panel, he's showing us as much of her grundle as possible.
Yeah,
Sure.
like Psylocke as well. Thanks to Jim Lee, she turned into a generic mutant ninja.
Yeah.
She's got a psychic knife, Matthew.
Yeah. But she is, she's more interesting than that, I think.
She is, yeah. She has the potential to be a very interesting character.
Yeah.
Which she's got she's got a cool background. She's got quite a unique way of speaking when she's written properly as well.
Boobs and butt are always in the same panel when it comes to them.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Let me find that again. This is just absolute crap for for people listening.
For anyone listening.
But there is a particular panel where you've got some absolutely fantastic broken spine artwork, and this is something that a handful of 90s artists were incredibly guilty of, especially those guys over at Extreme Image.
Yeah.
Which is where they draw a woman who basically, that if she existed in real life, her spine would be snapped.
Okay.
In order to get the boobs and the butt in the same panel at the same time.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I'm talking about there.
Jesus, she's doing some fucking twists there, isn't she?
Spines do not work that way.
No, they don't. No.
Yeah, if you're reading along at home, it's page 16. It's the first panel, and she's just absolutely spun her top half around to make sure that we can get not only both boobs but both butt cheeks in as well.
You think he jacked it whilst he was drawing?
Yeah, but then you're essentially.
And then his hand slipped, and he's like, "Oh, God, right, okay, that's fine."
But you just masturbating to a lady that's essentially should be dead.
But as you'll see, like, Rogue tries to discuss things peacefully with Magneto, but the Russians, those goddamn Russians, they end up shooting Rogue. And Magneto's like, "Oh, in another universe, I was totally banging this chick."
How?
But again,
No, it's the old-fashioned way.
yeah, the old-fashioned way.
But Rogue sucks life, doesn't she?
In all sorts of ways. Yeah, I mean, Magneto, simply enraged by the idea that the Russians was, defending their own country.
Sure, yeah.
Just unleashes one of the nuclear missiles.
He does.
As you do.
Those damn Soviets.
It's a jaw-dropping moment, I guess, for new readers.
Yeah.
Because, oh my god, it's a nuclear weapon. But, it's, been there, done that.
Well, it explodes sort of mid-air, doesn't it? I think, isn't the idea that it just creates an EMP so that they can't chase him anymore or something?
As I said, it's a jaw-dropping moment, and the story suddenly cuts to Asteroid M, as you'll see there. There's the explosion dam.
Okay.
Was it page 38?
Yep.
And then we cut, and then we're back on Asteroid M, and Magneto's in his throne for some reason.
Why is he white?
He's really broody in this one.
Yeah, well, he's got blue hair and a white face. Is that just light?
That's space light.
That's just the lighting. Yeah. Space light.
Space light.
Starlight.
So Magneto returns to his throne. He's kind of dishevelled. He's kind of like, ugh, what a headache. And then Cortez comes back around. And he's like, hey, buddy.
Cortez
what about those flat scans?
Cortez has got a banging mullet though.
Yeah, but he's got you can tell.
He's like Brad Dourif in Lord of the Rings, isn't he? He's that Wormtongue. Is that the name of the character?
Yeah.
Right.
It's
He's
true.
just basically sneaking around and whispering in his ear. And
Yeah. Rogue was in that, next to that nuclear explosion. So what happened to Rogue? Oh, she's fine.
She's fine.
Yeah, she's just in a hospital in the mutant country of Genosha.
Which plays a rather large part in X-Men continuity a little later on.
Rather large part. Basically, it's renowned for enslaving mutants.
Okay.
And it's changed in the comic series from what it used to be. For some reason, the Acolytes find her, and they're like, oh yeah, you're not going to rest in this hospital, love. We're going to get you.
Bradshaw and
we just keep going
Farouk.
back to wrestling.
Oh, Jesus
No,
Christ.
so the terrorists that appeared on Asteroid M at the beginning of the issue,
Right,
who
It's
now
Cortez's band.
who
there you are.
have
Yeah. I see 'em.
pledged their allegiance to Magneto's cause, which is actually Cortez.
The Donald found her, essentially.
As they always do.
So the Acolyte's fine here, but the X-Men, due to good old Professor Xavier using his hack cerebro, he's like, oh, she's over there, let's go find her.
Using
Let's
his
go
Oculus
save her.
Rift.
Yes. And a massive brawl kicks off, as you'll see, for like pages upon pages.
Yeah.
It's just unnecessary. Like, you get new introductions like, oh, I'm going to make this guy virtually as dense as adamantium. Oh, no!
That's page 44, and it's a chocolate dude.
Chocolate dude, yep.
That's my hip hop name.
But this is it, like, Cortez is just screaming about being superior, despite looking and sounding like a complete loser, to be honest.
He's got a mullet, so...
Yeah, exactly. Magneto makes his grand appearance. And, he's fixed up his costume as well in the meantime. Good on him.
Got his helmet on.
Yeah, he's probably like Archer. Like, when he's got
He's always carries a spare.
Yeah.
in this this double page doohickey, his thighs are bigger than every character's head.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He doesn't skip
He
leg day.
has some
He does not
banging
skip leg day.
thighs.
He doesn't skip leg day, no.
Jesus.
But yeah, he goes into detail about like how mutants will no longer live in fear or prejudice. He claims that Asteroid M is now a sovereign world, a new haven for all mutants that will receive security from mankind. Is it too good to be true? Probably.
It'd be boring if it weren't.
Everyone gets a gym membership.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get a gym membership.
But if you
I know this really good firework out.
But if you dissect this page, count how many speech bubbles are there, Dan. Like,
It's nuts.
it is insane. Because where does the reader's eye go? And I think, it's on a case class page.
There's a good 21 or 22 there.
There are 16 speech bubbles.
What?
Yep, 16 speech bubbles.
Oh, we talk connected.
Not
Not
counting the conjoined ones though.
Yeah.
The
I
conjoined
count
ones,
the
there's
conjoined
like
ones.
over 20 or
I'm
something.
not that stupid.
And as you'll see, those closing panels as well, over at Professor Xavier's school, Moira McTaggart starts crying. Xavier's side
Fucking
piece. Xavier's side piece in a way. And she's crying because everything that's just occurred in this issue is because of her. Goddamn bitch.
Is that the EastEnders moment?
Yeah, that's
Yes. So there we have it. Like, if you turn the page as well, you've got like a teaser or think, well, hang on, you've got summer specials, try it again. Oh, it's not in this issue. It must have been in the. It must have been in the gatefold. It was like a preview of things to come.
Oh, it's the pin-up with Omega Red.
Yes.
Yes, it's in the middle.
It's in the middle. Yeah,
It's actually in the
I
middle.
saw that. Yeah.
No, they moved it then.
Yeah, more to come, it says. Instead, we've got Three Musketeers Adventure.
And basically that like previews like more Weapon X shenanigans. Ugh. Boring Omega Red. I'm sorry, Drew, but he is.
Look at him though.
Yeah, but look how that's Omega Red, damn.
Yeah, I know what Omega Red was.
He's got whips. They come out of his arms.
Yeah, and that hairstyle.
And that hairstyle.
Horrendous.
That's what I'm going for in mine.
Is that that's your ultimate?
Yeah.
It's got the alien brood as well. I quite like the brood as a concept. I mean, it's the aliens xenomorphs.
They've got shiny eyes.
Longshot. He's got a name, lad. And the Longshot's cool.
He's no maggot. But he's
No,
all
he's
right.
he's no.
I was looking up who Jim Lee, Chris Claremont and Scott Lobdell had created like individually, and I hadn't thought about Maggot in years. And I was just like, fuck me, he's got to be a contender for the weirdest goddamn X-Man in the entire continuity.
Yeah.
Maggot is basically a dude who, instead of internal organs, has two slugs that come out of his body, eat things, then go back in his body and give him power.
The radio silences me.
Yeah,
Figure out what the
just
fuck is
how
going on.
the fuck does that? That's some Cronenberg shit. That is.
What was the fella that wrote it taken?
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
I mean,
Good shit.
you don't need to see the next couple of issues of this, but essentially it is more of the same. Magneto kidnaps people a bunch.
Yep.
The Acolytes fight, and Psylocke turns up in a bikini time and time again.
Excellent.
And that's she turns up in a bikini when her uniform, if you want to call it that, is effectively the tiniest leotard.
Yeah.
Like thong.
Yeah.
They're almost all wearing thongs actually. Jean Grey's got a thong on in this. Psylocke's got a thong.
Oh yeah.
Mullets and thongs.
Mullets and
is
thongs. That's
what
the
they
90s.
almost called it, but they went with X-Men because they thought
That's a new podcast name.
mullets and thongs. It's my aesthetic.
I was going to go for X-Men: The Vagisil Saga.
The Vagisil Saga.
That's good. I mean, looking at that like Dan,
Yeast Infection, the new crossover event from Marvel Comics.
That's about as fucking good as that fucking maggot chappy, isn't it?
Nice.
Just gives everyone a fucking yeast infection by rubbing a flange on the faces.
Looking at that, can you imagine that that's the #1 best-selling comic of all
Of
time?
all time. Of all comics ever produced and sold, that one by far outsold any other.
I mean, if we're kind of looking at it like 13-year-old horny boys that haven't got access to porn like we have these days.
Well, they knew who they were selling their
potentially-
comics to.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of, to me, it looks a bit like a Michael Bay film.
Yes, but you look at how much money Michael Bay films make.
Yeah, exactly. So,
And I think it's tough because you have to try and stay in the mind frame of the time.
Yeah.
It's very easy to look at comics from the early 90s now and go, Jesus Christ. And like we were saying at the top end of this podcast, I think Claremont can still really hold up. And I think, take what you will from Jim Lee, I think, his artwork, whilst being similar to some of his contemporaries like Wolf's Potatio and Mark Silvestri and those guys, they were kind of pushing it in the more modern direction.
Yeah.
And they were being a lot more kind of angular and a lot edgier, and the 90s was edge, boy.
It was edge. And you know what, I find it funny because I don't think Jim Lee's that bad an artist, really.
When he tries.
And
he's worked on some very important stuff.
But my problem is he's not really evolved.
No, you would look at a piece of his from 2019 and a piece of his from 1999, and I think if it's a black and white piece, you weren't looking at the colouring, because obviously that has come along in a big way. If you're just looking at his line work, I think you would be hard pushed to tell what era it came from.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think, as we've stated, I don't think it's like a terrible comic for like an introduction to new readers as well. Claremont does a really good job at establishing the X-Men which with like pointless exposition.
Yep.
But here they are what they do best. They're running some sort of like test.
They're doing Danger Room stuff.
Yeah, they're doing Danger Room stuff, and then Magneto's brought in. You've got some new bad guys, and it involves Russians and real life stuff to a degree as well. So it's just. It works.
It's relevant for the time.
Yeah, very relevant for the time. But yeah, I think after this though, after he was fired, his writing never,
What does he go on to do directly after this? Do you know?
He was going to do some image stuff, I think.
Claremont?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of that image stuff at the time because that was.
Yes.
I was the perfect age.
Maybe just didn't come to fruition, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think his writing ever returned to form back then as well. Like, honestly, I remember when Marvel were like, Claremont's back, and I'm like, There was a Claremont Wolverine special out last week. I didn't look at it. I was just like, I'm alright, I'm fine. But yeah, Jim Lee's costume design. So this is a thing. Like, this is the one thing about this comic. His costume defined like the characters' look for the entire 90s period.
Yeah, they're iconic.
And most fans over the age of 30 will claim that his costumes are the best of the team. No, they're not. They're completely wrong. I guess, you look at Psylocke's costume, for example.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. The blue and yellow one, Cyclops as well. Give him the condom hat, that's what I want. But Dave Cockrum, he had the best designs. Easily, because he was the one that, Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Some of the best, costumes in the X-Men comics. And some fans, I think, they're just still stuck in the 90s.
I think it was so pervasive as well. I think because those costumes were then taken to the animated series, they were in the video games.
Yes.
The majority of the merchandising for X-Men came from that era as well. So if you had a toy growing up, odds are you had Cyclops with that stupid fucking yellow, weird half braces belt thing going on, and
I've managed to some of that as well. Because the 90s, thanks to this, it was like Mutant Madness, and the X-Men not only had the best-selling comic of all time, they had the animated television series along with the merchandise that was crammed full into toy stores as well. Thanks to Toy Biz, the company that produced X-Men toys, they made a killing by releasing all sorts of gimmicky action figures and accessories, of course. Some figures were so obscure that they probably only appeared in the comics for a few panels or issues. Honestly, you look at series 6 or 7 of these lines, and it's like, I don't even know who these people are. But these vehicles also included the Blackbird, obviously, and bizarre concepts like Wolverine's mutant cycle, which, despite him having adamantium claws, his bike did as well.
Amazing. That's like when you go into a toy store and you see the Flash's dune buggy.
Yes.
Why the fuck would the Flash need a dune buggy? It was crazy. That fucking cartoon was everywhere.
Yes, it was. I remember when I was young, just walking around, putting my hands by my temples and just being like, I'm Cyclops!
Stay out of my mind, Charles.
The worst character.
You've got to wonder though, because when you look at the documentaries they made for TMNT and stuff like that, and how much the toy manufacturers were influencing the comics and the cartoons.
Oh yeah.
where that line was drawn with the X-Men stuff. Like how often was toyetic bandied about in the editorial meetings and things, in terms of like, we need to be introducing this amount of characters.
That was it. This was like what was going on with them, because Toy Biz was working with Batman. Like they were working with DC, sorry, for the Batman films, the Tim Burton ones. But they went all in on Uncanny, because I just don't think the Batman figures were selling very well for him.
There's that much more to pull from as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like X-Men, I think they was the X-Force toys as well, and all the pieces like started to fit together as well, because like a former Marvel Productions head, Margaret Loach, I think her name is, she was now running the Fox Kids network at the time as well, which was set to air the animated series, which had plenty of input from Toy Biz's CEO, Avi Arad.
Ah,
yeah,
the man whose name you have seen on every fucking superhero movie from the 2000s.
Precisely. He's a recognisable name in the industry now. He went from Toy Biz to Chief of Creative Officers at Marvel Entertainment to becoming director and now founder of Marvel Studios. He was one of the few responsible for saving Marvel during its bankruptcy in 1996 as well. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Marvel's bankruptcy.
He's done well for himself.
We're talking about selling off everything that they've now spent the past 10 years trying to gather back together again.
That was it. But Marvel made some stupid decisions back in the 90s due to the success of the X-Men. They weren't happy. They weren't content with the Toy Biz's line. There were other options that they wanted to explore, and one of their sites they set on was Fleer, the popular baseball trading card company as well. Yep. One of the largest manufacturers of sports cards. They acquired the company for $265 million.
Jesus Christ!
Back in 1992.
It's an alien concept though, because like we never really had trading cards the same way as they do with like baseball cards and stuff in the States.
Yes, yeah. So we did.
It's
weird for us.
We had sticker books. Sticker books were when I was younger.
Even that doesn't hold the same kind of. It's so culturally ingrained. It's Americana, isn't it?
Yeah.
Acquiring this meant they could just make as many X-Men trading card series as they could as well. And Marvel doubled its sales in 1991 with this clever manoeuvre, but it also cost them $240 million in debt. This was a cause of concern at Marvel as well, as the market just wasn't as strong as it once was. Baseball Weekly, a popular sports mag, I think it was the same week they acquired Fleer, had a front page headline that said, "Is card collecting going up in smoke?" And this was another sign of things to come with Marvel, unfortunately. I mean, I didn't realise, but Fleer still do the cards today.
Yeah.
Baseball cards originally cigarette packets anyway. You used to get them out of cigarette packets.
That's where they were kind of born of, but then they just became their own thing where you would buy packs.
So that makes that headline quite clever.
But yes. I didn't think about that.
You see.
So you are here for a reason.
Take a celebration drink.
He sits back and stays silent for the rest of the podcast, knowing that his work is done.
Spots.
I'm just going to keep that bit in.
And the popularity's changed with like superheroes as of late. Marvel thought like, we've done gangbusters with Spider-Man, X-Men. Let's sell some more, like brand new issue ones. And they thought they could shift the same amount of copies that X-Men did. Marvel didn't know this, but they still released plenty of new series with like all sorts of stupid gimmicky covers. The problem was the lack of returnability. This is the problem with the comic book industry. DC are pretty good at it. DC will like say, here's a brand new like premiere like prestige format like comic coming out. If you don't sell it, fine, return it back to us and we'll credit you, which is great. Marvel, however, boy, they don't credit anything.
Didn't Marvel flirt with their own distribution in the 90s as well?
They did. They tried to,
Because nowadays, if you want a comic book and you're a retailer, you order it through Diamond.
Yes.
Essentially, like that, they are the guys that put like the big comic books out. Whereas in the 90s, I think Marvel and one or two other companies as well, but I definitely remember them kind of going like, no, we'll distribute our own shit.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
And that's it. Like, it was the lack of returnability and the sheer push for like not even C-list characters. Silver Sable. They had a Silver Sable issue 1 that only sold 500,000 copies, and
only
exactly. The best-selling comic of all time last year was Detective Comics 1000, and that sold 526,000.
Yeah,
and that's like that's how much the times have changed. Obviously, Silver Sable, like Marvel must have been just running like heads running back and forth, being like, "Oh my God, Silver Sable! What are we doing?" And you know what happened with the X-Men after this? There was the boom, as we all know. Marvel, unfortunately, problem with them was that consumers soon realised, hang on a second, there isn't money in this. That's it. One reporter named Douglas Cass, who he ran an article after visiting over a dozen comic book stores. This was the death knell, this was, for comic book collecting in the 90s. And he went to them and he said, they just had long boxes full of X-Men and X-Force. Not those 8 million copies that apparently had all shifted.
You can do it now. You can go to any store that sells, like a decent collection of back issues. You thumb through and you will find bagged copies of X-Men 1.
Oh yeah.
Like you got yours online easy enough, but you can still find them in the stores now.
It's crazy. But he had spoken to the comic shop owners as well, all of which had the same opinion. Marvel is becoming old hat and lacks innovation or creativity. And so, like Cass, reported that Marvel relies on gimmicky covers to fight back on consumer resistance. And January's price hike certainly did not help matters as well. Ooh, there's been some infamous price hikes in our time as well.
Hey, they're drawing the line at $2.99. That was DC, wasn't it?
That was DC.
DC about
drawing the line at $2.99.
About 6 years ago, that was like a big slogan that they put out on a lot of their stuff.
Drawing the line on quality.
And that was a dig to Marvel then.
Well, it was a dig to comics in general, but yeah, they were basically
mostly
kind of
Marvel,
like,
yes.
Marvel. They're putting their books up. We'll never charge more than $2.99 for our books.
And how much do you charge from now?
More.
Okay. Fair enough.
Which $2.99 is too much for a DC book, in my opinion. But
and there goes more listeners.
Yeah. not to put too fine a point on it, but
Yeah, Marvel just pushed too hard. That article ran, and like people were like, "Oh, hang on a second. I'm not going to get my kids to college with my 10 copies of X-Men. I'm not going to buy Silver Sable now." Consumers realised the retailers were getting tired of endless number ones, and the bubble burst. The bubble just burst, essentially. Yep. And
in a big way.
In a very big way. I can't remember. I saw somebody say like over 200 stores in America were closed in the 90s because of it. And I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest.
The problem with ordering is, I don't know if the average comic reader knows, but comic book stores order months in advance.
Yes, 3 months in advance. 3 months in advance.
So, and certainly back then, when you didn't have access to the internet to just quickly click and adjust an order, once you put that order in, you were basically locked into it.
Yes.
So if someone's going like, fuck me, Silver Sable, my God, people are going to go nuts for Silver Sable. You better order 100 copies of this book. So you order 100 copies of this book, 2 customers buy it, and you're sitting on 98 copies. Of stock. If you're an independent retailer, you're fucked.
Yeah, you really are.
You're absolutely done.
But you know what? It was an interesting time though. Certainly left an impact on the X-Men. This best-selling comic of all time did, and it set the tone for collecting as well afterwards. It really changed the scene, and people were just a bit more privy to it, I think.
It also opened the way for indie companies like Image.
Yeah, that was it.
To kind of to offer something a bit fresher and something different, and it was the artists and writers that they loved working on their own stuff with a bit more freedom.
Yeah, I wanted a bit more creative control, to be honest, and I think that'll be something we'd like to do,
definitely.
Image Comics, essentially, the birth of Image.
I think we'll have to have a drinking game where people have to take a drink when we mention something that we say we'll do a future episode.
Already.
Yeah, already. You reckon the X-Men have had such a massive hit, impact on culture since? I think only with the films, but other than that,
I think the films. Yeah, I think the films are massively important because they laid the groundwork for comic book properties to be a successful blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Almost all attempts before that, there was a degree of camp or schlock to them. And whether you think the original X-Men movies have aged well or not, at the time, the fact that they took them out of the silly costumes and dressed them in black leather. Yeah, but
it worked.
The world wasn't ready for Hugh Jackman in yellow
what happens to a toad when it's hit by lightning?
The same as everything else.
Well, it's Matrix as well, isn't it? Like the leather,
it was
period.
Again, it's 90s edge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they leaned hard into that, and it kind of it made them go, shit, this can work. Let's do a Spider-Man movie. Shit, this can work. Let's do a Fantastic Four movie.
My personal opinion of their kind of lasting impact on culture has been mutton chops. No person can walk around with mutton chops.
People try
without somebody calling them Wolverine.
Yeah, that is true. Comic sales have never hit the same heights before as well, and I think Marvel have tried their best to, they've got veteran names in before, and honestly, some of my favourite X-Men series are by veteran writers such as Joss Whedon, Grant Morrison. Astonishing and New X-Men are some of my favourite X-Men reads.
I kind of hold those up as the go-to for...
Especially Astonishing.
I've read Astonishing.
I've read them.
It's a solid jumping on point.
And Cassie's artwork's beautiful as well.
Yeah,
so.
His costume design is in that, whilst they kind of look to the Jim Lee designs a little bit, he takes them in a to a place where you kind of go, no, that actually is a solid design. You've used, the past to inform the present.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about the new Hickman one. As we say, we are excited because we're stupid.
Yeah, and Hickman can write well.
Yeah, Hickman can write well. He did a great job with the Fantastic Four series. Jonathan Hickman, he's kind of hard to describe. Hickman likes white pages.
Okay.
Like clear white pages and just graphs and stuff. But basically Marvel are cancelling every single X-Men comic.
Okay.
They do this every few years.
Right.
I mean, to a degree, I think this is the first time in a long time where they've cancelled like every single X-Men title. And then gone...
So it's like a story wipe and then you just start again?
Yeah, not like a story wipe or anything. But basically he's set foot into Marvel's offices and he's like, right, X-Men continuity is a mess. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make the X-Men relevant again. And Marvel have been pushing hard to let people know that this is the next era of the X-Men. And, hopefully it will be.
Bear in mind that Marvel Studios have reacquired the X-Men through Disney's purchase of the Fox properties as well. Yeah. So it felt for quite a while that certainly Fantastic Four and the X-Men to a lesser degree were kind of neglected in terms of marketing and push. Fantastic Four stopped altogether for a number of years and it's back now.
Yeah.
X-Men's kind of always been there because it's X-Men. I don't think they would ever dare get rid of it completely, and it obviously sells enough for them to keep doing it as well. But now that they know that, because they don't make a lot of money from comics. They make a lot of money from movies and merchandising. Yeah. So now that they can use those as tools for whatever it is they do with them in the movies moving forward, I think a lot more interest will be paid to them from the kind of executive side of things.
Yeah.
I don't know how good that's going to be because executives meddling in creativity is bollocks.
Yes, it is. Yeah, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As an X-Men fan, I've wanted a good X-Men comic for a long time. I just don't think anything I've enjoyed as of late. Uncanny X-Men's been a mess.
Yep.
It's a stopgap essentially between what came before it and
what's going to happen.
Yeah, what's going to happen next.
Anytime it's a weekly, you're going to struggle to.
Yeah, that's it. It's that as well. But it was only weekly for the first 8 weeks. I think.
I know it was, but still, it's you just.
But it's had 4 writers on it, Drew. How could it go wrong?
I think that's it. I think we've kind of covered, the main points of it. It is influential and it is important, and it, has aged kind of okay. It's not the fucking horror show that a lot of comics.
No, it's certainly not like the Death of Superman.
How dare you, sir? Doomsday was made from the DNA of Superman, and that's how he defeated him. They defeated each other, and then Superman came back with a mullet.
With a mullet as well. 4 different Supermen, weren't there?
There were. That'll probably be an episode at some point in the future because it's just hilarious looking into.
Does sound hilarious.
Yes.
Because that's like Mongol turns up with his war world and destroys fucking Emerald City or wherever it is that Green Lantern's from, and that's what starts the whole fucking parallax thing.
Yeah.
And it all spins crazily out of control from there.
And if you think I didn't have a clue about this, I don't have a fucking chance on that.
Quintessential 90s comic crossover event, sir.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, that's basically the X-Men. Well done, Matthew, for doing your research.
Congratulations.
Want to cite your sources at all? Or?
It was the Untold History of Marvel History and a bunch of other websites I looked at. I'll probably put them in the description.
Put them in the description.
Yeah, link in the description. But I think it's Sean Howe or Ho that did the Marvel Untold story, and a great read for finding out everything that went behind going on at the Marvel offices, essentially. A lot of shaking of the fist, and a lot of, a bit of that. A bit of that as well. And bankruptcy. Mainly bankruptcy.
Was that because of the cocaine?
No, I don't think so.
It's just mountains over cocaine and the theme tune to the X-Men animated series being played over and over again.
Just coke on at Spencer's.
I think we'll have to play the X-Men theme tune as the outro to the show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Or we have to sing it. Because we might get done for...
No, we'll be fine. We're reviewing things, it's fine.
Yeah.
There we go. That's all you get. That's all you need.
What were you thinking of doing next?
I know what I want to do next. I don't know if Dan's got anything in mind in particular, but...
I think I'll do something that you two actually know something about for a bit.
Cool.
And then eventually, when we're a little bit more into the flow, I'll torch you with some things you don't really dislike.
We'll have an off-mic conversation and figure it all out. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. It might have been a little bit here or there, but it's our first time doing it, goddammit. But thanks very much for tuning in. I'm sure we'll sort out online presence at some point once we know people are actually listening to this. If there's anything by the time we actually throw this thing up, then we'll put it all in the descriptions for the episode as well. But that's it. And as we say at the end of every episode of Gachapod, What happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
Tell me, I don't know.
Cocaine! See ya.
In a bit.